clear. I'm not going nuts. The president has a big stick. We choose truth over facts.
Check my shape on it. Let's do push-ups together here, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do.
Good evening, I'm your host, Jack Remington. I'm Jack Remington, political analyst. Joe Biden has kept us pretty busy for his first 2 weeks in office as President of the United States. I had to put up with Bill Clinton for 8 years. I had to put up with Barack Obama for 8 years. And now we're going to have to put up with Joe Biden for at least 4 years. Let's get to this video.
The cancellation of the Keystone Pipeline construction has some lawmakers concerned tonight about job losses for Americans. The Biden administration says this move is about protecting the climate and also future jobs. Washington correspondent Rashad Hudson breaks it all down for us.
Indiana Congressman Andre Carson says President Joe Biden's decision to cancel the permit for the Keystone Pipeline is the right call.
So as we face the climate crisis, our country has to lead by prioritizing a clean energy economy.
The Keystone XL pipeline carries Canadian crude oil into the U.S. Carson says halting the project is about protecting the environment.
We're already seeing the dangerous and deadly effects of climate change. And I think in a time of crisis, the world has looked to America for leadership.
But Republicans say canceling the pipeline will eliminate thousands of union jobs they say President Biden promised to protect.
We know it's going to lose jobs because they already has. As soon as he did the executive order, it shut down.
Ohio Representative Bob Gibbs rejects the administration's claim that the pipeline isn't safe or environmentally friendly.
You know, they have all kinds of technology to shut the pipelines down if there was a leak, and they monitor that all the time. So it's a very safe way. Gibbs is also concerned that the move could increase the gas prices for millions of Americans. We could see, the $4 or $5 gas again instead of the $2 and $2.50 gas.
President Biden says canceling the pipeline sends an important signal to the world that the U.S. is moving away from fossil fuels. In Washington, Rashad Hudson.
At the time of this filming this video, I think Joe Biden has signed 46 executive orders. He's just signed them left and right. He's got the authority to do so. We don't question that. We understand that. Even to a degree, respect that. Despite him saying that he just can't keep doing executive orders. He's not a king. He's not a dictator.
And I don't think anybody knows more about the issue and the damage that's been done by some of the executive orders of the previous administration. I'm now going to sign the executive order. I'm going to go over and sign that now.
Sir, what sacrifices are you asking Americans to make?
Thank you. Mr. President, will you just declare national emergency on climate change, you guys?
No, well, I got to get the votes. That's why, the one thing that I have this strange notion. We are a democracy. Some of my Republican friends and some of my Democratic friends even occasionally say, well, if you can't get the votes by executive order, you're going to do something. Things you can't do by executive order unless you're a dictator. We're a democracy. We need consensus.
They're really showing themselves to do really well. Come on, man.
Maybe he forgot he said that. Who knows? But like I said in the other videos, I still wish him success. I still need him to do good. Because if Joe Biden does good, the country does good, okay? Think about your country. Forget your party. The country's got to come first. Why have a country if you can be loyal to your party? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. And many other Americans are getting fed up with this party thing. Joe Biden, he killed 38,000 jobs in Canada, and now they're mad at him.
This afternoon, President Biden and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will chat on the phone. Biden's decision to revoke a permit for Keystone XL will certainly be a topic of discussion. It marks the end of a saga spanning more than 12 years over the pipeline meant to carry Canadian crude to the United States. Here's Kate Bolingaro.
In Canada, President Joe Biden's decision to revoke the Keystone XL permit just after his inauguration was met with disappointment. This project is particularly important for Canada's oil sector, which is a large part of the country's economy. It's a project that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has been advocating for in Washington to be able to help expand the country's energy markets. It's also very important for the province of Alberta, and Conservative Premier Jason Kenney has invested $1.1 billion in taxpayer money into the project in the hopes that Biden would not revoke the permit. This being, however, Biden has been very vocal about his stance on this project since he was vice president under Barack Obama. So while this decision doesn't come as a surprise, it is something that the Canadian government is disappointed about. However, they of course respect Biden's decision, and they will continue to work with the president going forward on other things they have in common, such as the fight against climate change and economic growth, which is something that both countries are hoping to especially work on given the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on both of the countries' economies.
Joe Biden he cut 10,000 jobs. 10,000 is still a lot, but when I was driving home that night, the radio changed. It was 110,000 Keystone Pipeline jobs. Bottom line is there's approximately 150,000 jobs, not just for the pipeline, but to support jobs that actually are from the pipeline itself. The Teamsters Union, the truck drivers, the stores, the convenience stores, the gas stations, the repair shops for the trucks and the cargo, the trains. You're looking at over 150,000 jobs with a stroke of a pen, just like that. That's a bad deal. And we were warned beforehand that he was going to do this. Oh, no, we're not going to. And then him and Kamala Harris, they both lied their way out of it, enough to where people still voted for them. This is a bad deal.
I am not banning fracking. Let me say that again. I am not banning fracking, no matter how many times Donald Trump lies about me.
Like, what about, say, stopping fracking and stopping new pipe?
I am not banning fracking, no matter how many times Donald Trump lies about me.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
I am not banning fracking, no matter how many times Donald Trump lies about me. No new fracking, no matter how many times Donald Trump lies about me.
We are going to get rid of fossil fuels.
No matter how many times Donald Trump lies about me.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated.
You knew what you had with Donald Trump, but that wasn't good enough. You hated Donald Trump so bad, you had to vote him out and put in this guy here. This is going to be a long 4 years, folks. But the worst thing, something that's really bad, I got from Kingfisher Times and Free Press. Biden order destroys female athletics Title IX. Okay, and the reporter's name is Nicole Russell. She's actually a decent contributor. She's contributed to the Daily Signal. Her work has appeared in The Atlantic, The New York Times, National Review, Politico, The Washington Times, The American Spectator, and Parents Magazine. So having read that, I would think that she leans to the left. But guess what? When this issue I'm going to talk about here, politicized, more dangerous to our country and our society at large. With Joe Biden doing this, he killed young girls' sports. Okay, now young girls, they can get lacrosse scholarships, they can get field hockey scholarships, they can get track scholarships. There's actually a couple places where they get weightlifting scholarships, bodybuilding. A lot of colleges offer gymnastic scholarships for young females to get into school. This is something that's a positive thing in this country. People keep complaining, we want an equal footing for male and female. You know what? Fine, we can do that, but not with this thing here where they got transgender men that are 6'3" competing against a 5'2" girl in the track team, and the men are winning all the awards. They're winning every race.
And next shooting is the sound of the fastest sprinters in the state going at it. Terry Miller, Buckley, already set a state record today, and she is going to rattle roll. Wait, please. Out in the middle of the track, Terry Miller of Buckley. She is in lane 7. And Miller in lane 6 pulling away. And the comment across the line was Terry Miller. Her time 24.19. And that is fast enough to enable her to be the fastest overall.
Okay, they're still basically men. Now, I'm not really here to discuss that per se in detail, but this thing is so unfair. You're taking scholarships away from women that might not have any other way to get this education. And you keep saying you want education for everybody. They're doing such a big disservice to these young women. And it's so bad that even I have to say something. And you know it's bad if I have to get on the horn and make a video just about this. It's really bad. This is so wrong on its face. Let me get to the article here. I'm so mad, I can hardly contain myself. As President Joe Biden takes office and begins implementation of controversial measures like the Equality Act, it's clear one of the more important cultural arenas of 2021 will be ensuring fair play for female athletes at all levels of sports. For a 9KMSP, a Minneapolis news source reported, quote, Gender Justice, a Minneapolis-based nonprofit that advocates for gender equity, is suing USA Powerlifting for allegedly discriminating against transgender athletes. End of quote. Really? Are you serious? From my years of experience in taking biology classes, working in a research facility for the government for years, the average male, 6 foot in this country, and weighs 235 pounds. That's the average male. Okay. The average female is 5'4" and weighs 145 pounds. The average male has 3.5 times muscle body mass in his body over the average female. This is so unfair on its face, just based on that alone. This should not be allowed. We understand the transgender guy. It's very uncomfortable to even discuss it. There are at the most 700,000 of these individuals in this country versus a population of, including the illegal aliens and undocumented immigrants, 400 million people. So we're going to stop our country because of 700,000 people that are just the imbalance of nature, if you want to call it that. I don't want to call them freaks of nature because I don't have anything against transgender people. I would hate to be one myself. I'm sure they have an extreme hardship. I understand that. But they've made it through their entire human existence up until now. They can still make it without imposing hardship on the rest of us because they have hardship. I mean, this is what I'm trying to say. They have hardship, these transgender people. Why should the other 400 million Americans suffer because of the 700,000? Answer me that question. Why should we go some hardship because there are 700,000 people that must endure hardship? It sounds like an unfair question, but if you think about it in a logical manner, it is not an unfair question. It is a very fair question that needs to be addressed soon because this is destroying the country. Another seed in the Democrat plan, the communist plan to destroy our capitalist system. They want all the wealth to themselves and are going to give us nothing. Take our guns away, make us serfs. Back to the point in the matter, by allowing these transgender men, they're really men. I don't care if they got the body parts here and it's all messed up down there. When you look at them, and they could kick your ass in a fight too, let me tell you. They're not the limp wrist people you see on the TV and the magazines. Some of them, the ones we hear in LA are pretty rough. And the ones I knew back east in Washington DC, they were even rougher. I'm here to tell you, they're men. And I know in Connecticut, they're winning every race. There was a very famous case, and I've talked about it in the other video, deep sea diving company. A woman wanted to get the job because when they're underwater, welding underwater, they're getting $2,000 an hour. And I wanted the job myself. I heard about that. I'm too old now. But they have very strict parameters about the deep sea diving. You got to be in top-notch physical shape, and they don't hire women. Well, guess what? They went to the Court of Appeals, and it was going to go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court wouldn't hear it. The decision was remanded down to the lower court, and the lower court held that they can discriminate for safety reasons. If you can't pass that physical, you can't deep sea dive. 9-0 in the Court of Appeals decision. No dissent. And there was 4 women on that Court of Appeals panel. 4 women. They're not male chauvinist hog pigs. It's just that women just can't do everything that men can do. Pure physicality things, the men are going to be able to do it much better. That's why you're not going to see a woman competing against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Women cannot play football. Oh, I'm sure they could. They got women coaches now. They got a couple women referees. Oh, I'm sure they can. That's good and fine. But if they get on the field, they're going to get hurt. I just don't see how this. And these transgender guys, if they go against a guy like this guy's going to win 999 times out of 1,000. Okay, that one time you get lucky, a team doesn't make. Idaho has already passed a law ensuring fair play in women's sports, although lawmakers there have come under fire for it, and the judge has blocked it from taking effect, citing a transgender athlete's lawsuit that alleges that law is discriminatory. Really? At least 2 other states are actively trying to pass laws that protect female athletes, New Hampshire and North Dakota. Gee, imagine that. I know North Dakota's a red state. New Hampshire should be a red state. It's like trying to get some strange cat to run in the dog and pony show, and the cat can jump higher than the dog. Well, of course, cat's gonna win. And then, well, this cat identifies as my dog. Give me my trophy. Really, you gonna do that too? Really, is that what you need to do to get recognition? Is that what you got? You got to cheat to win? As a mother, I wouldn't want my daughters to compete against biological males and lose, despite their best efforts. The damage that this will do to kids, not to mention the long-term damage to our society culture, will reverberate for decades to come. I was growing up in the Reagan administration, fighting over getting female pilots in the Navy for their Navy fighting jets. They would fail the agility and the eyesight test and depth perception test because they're not men. Ronald Reagan was faced with that dilemma, and he stood his ground. He goes, they got to pass the test. And I don't want the requirements lowered. So very few females had the agility to handle that 6 million piece of machinery in the sky. So it's going 800 miles per second. They actually found a couple of women, and it's kind of glossed over in a couple of good movies that came out. One of them was Officer and Gentleman. There was a couple female pilots in that program. That was the B story. The A story was that young local girls always wanted to go to the Navy training camp, try to snag a good officer that was a Navy pilot. That was the theme of the story. Richard Gere was great in that movie. But I remember that. When we point these things out, we're not bashing women. We're not bashing the female sex. We're not saying you need to stay in your little cubbyhole corner and just do hair and knitting. We're not saying that at all. We're just saying that there has to be parameters that need to be respected, and it's helping them too. There's a very famous case, Barr versus Matteo, and it went to the Supreme Court, and thank God that the Supreme Court upheld this decision that there's going to be some abuses and discrimination, and there's going to be some bias, and there's nothing that can be done in life about that. But you don't see that on the mainstream media. You don't see any of the people covering that case. Barr versus Matteo. You should be able to look it up in the Federal Reporter for those of you that knew how to do legal research. Some abuses and some mistakes made. It's called friendly fire, collateral damage. There's other terms for that. These things happen. These transgender people, you're going to get the short end of the stick. Okay, it's not our fault that you're transgender. It's not your fault either. In my other video, I made an appeal to Jill Biden. Please take care of him. The first thing I told her, watch out for Kamala Harris, watch out for Nancy Pelosi, watch out for both Republicans and Democrats because they're going to try to get him the first chance they can. My open letter, Mrs. Jill Biden, please take care of your husband. You have enemies everywhere in your White House. Don't be thinking that only Donald Trump has enemies everywhere. Your husband has really got he's got enemies too. Just as many, maybe even a few more, because they know they can get to him. Okay, they couldn't get to Donald Trump. Too sly for him. You got to remember, Donald Trump's the guy that's supposed to be in a helicopter crash in New Jersey casinos years ago, and he got tipped off and he didn't get on a helicopter in the crash. He's supposed to be on a helicopter. Okay, that's inside information I have here. So you can send the FBI to my house. This happened in the 1980s, late 1980s. Send them to my house. They already been here once. So send them again. So Ms. Jill Biden, please keep your husband healthy. Don't trust anybody. Do not trust this Kamala Harris. Okay, she's going to try to push him out the door along with Nancy Pelosi. They may even have already a deal ready where Nancy Pelosi invokes the 25th Amendment. She's already talked about that. So I'm asking you, Ms. Joe Biden, please take care. Make sure you keep Joe Biden upright. Guide him as best you can. But that way we can have 4 years of Mr. Joe Biden as the president, and hopefully he'll do some good things. I don't think so. Maybe he can do some good things. Maybe he really does have some things he can try to do for the country, and we'll see how it goes. Get him his proper rest. He's 70. He'll be 78 when he takes the oath of office. Just hope for the best. We can get through this. So just please keep your husband and your family safe. I would not trust anybody. Do not trust this Kamala Harris. I know I'm a stranger, but you gotta just believe me when I tell you this. I would not trust her as far as I could throw her. Well, let me, I could probably throw her pretty far. So let me rephrase that. I wouldn't trust her for 1 second. I just don't trust Kamala Harris, and I have my reasons why. We need Joe Biden to serve his full 4 years. Don't let them talk him into stepping down after year 2 or year 3, so we get the first female president. And there's going to be tremendous pressure on you to do that, and you're a woman. My open message to you, Ms. Joe Biden, don't fall for it. Put these globalists in their place. That's the end of my message to you, Ms. Joe Biden. I'm going to go back to my regular rant. And yes, I'm calling the election. I am calling the election. You know, the printing presses are up in full force, and they're revisiting the cemeteries. You know, if I was Republican, if I was Donald Trump, I would put webcams up on every cemetery in these governor-run states. So I want to close this video out by saying that Joe Biden, you got to do better. Your first 2 weeks were horrible. Even Donald Trump didn't find her like this his first 2 weeks. Stay tuned next week. Always great to be American. Thank you. Stay tuned for the next video.